Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com, and in this video we are going to look at the best credit cards for Uber and Lyft ride rewards. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So over the last year and a half maybe, more and more credit cards are adding ride sharing as either a rebate reward category or maybe incorporating it into travel as into the travel category if it is a points rewards card. And so we thought we would do a roundup of cards that offer something more on your Uber and Lyft and other ride share purchases. Now, the first card that would pop into mind for many people, I think, when you talk about Uber and Lyft in terms of credit cards is the Uber Visa. However, the Uber Visa, even though it is a very good card, it has no annual fee, gives you 4% cash on dining, gives you 3% on flights and other travel. It only gives you 2% on your Uber rides and then 1% on everything else. But so you're only getting 2% on your Uber rides. And so that's not good enough as far as this video is concerned. So even though the Uber Visa is a decent card, we can do better on the actual Uber trips and Lyft trips. And so we're going to look at 9 other cards where we can do better than that and sort of break down how the Uber rides and Lyft rides fit within the bigger framework of these cards, because all of them offer something, they offer something for Uber and Lyft, but then they have a lot of other stuff going on with these particular cards as well. All right, so we're going to start with the no annual fee credit cards, and the number one card I would choose if I was trying to home in on those Uber and Lyft purchases and not pay an annual fee would be the US Bank Cash Plus Visa. This is a card that would allow you to get 5% cash back on your Uber and Lyft purchases. You get 2% cash back in another category of purchases and 1% cash back on everything else that you buy with the card. Specifically, you get 5% cash back in 2 categories that you pick out of a list that US Bank supplies. So one of those 5% cash back categories is ground transportation, which includes Uber and Lyft. You'll also choose a second 5% category from their list as well. You'll choose a 2% category out of gas, grocery, and restaurant purchases. You choose one of those and you'll get 2% on that, and then 1% on everything else. You get 5% on up to $2,000 in purchases in those 5% categories per calendar quarter. So, conceivably, if you chose ground transportation, you could get 5% on up to $2,000 in purchases in that category each calendar quarter. So this is a very nice card across the board. We talk about it a lot, especially in the cashback space, and it is a good one for Uber and Lyft as well. The next card I would mention is the Wells Fargo Propel American Express card, a no annual fee card that gives you 3 points per dollar, or the equivalent of 3% cash back on a host of different purchasing categories, including ride shares. You'll get 3 points per dollar or 3% on your ride shares. So there's your Uber and Lyft, 3% on those. But then you also get 3% or 3x points on restaurants, flights, streaming services, hotels, and some other things in there as well. So a lot of 3x categories on the Wells Fargo Propel American Express card. Anything outside of those categories is going to give you 1 point or 1% per dollar on your purchases, but a nice card overall and good for the Uber Lyft crowd. Next up is the Bank of America Cash Rewards card. This is a card that gives you 3% cash back in a category of your choosing from a list that Bank of America provides. One of those potential 3% cashback categories is travel, and Uber and Lyft and ride shares are included within travel for this card. The card also gives 2% cash back on grocery and wholesale club purchases. It gives you 1% cash back on anything else that you buy with the card. One note to mention here is the fact that there is a cap on the 3% and 2% cashback categories. So the cap is $2,500 for those 2 categories combined. So if you spent, $2,500 on Uber and Lyft rides and groceries, after that point, you would only get 1% cash back on those categories. I think for most people, that's probably not a big deal. You're probably not going to hit that $2,500 cap between the 3% and 2% categories, but some people probably would, and so it is worth mentioning. And then finally, I have to include the two 5% rotating cards that come up in so many different videos because they might offer you 5% cash back on your Uber and or Lyft purchases at certain times of the year, but then at other times they may not. As I'm making this video, the Discover It card is offering 5% cash back on your Uber and Lyft purchases, but this is a card that changes its 5% cash back categories, or 5 point per dollar categories, if you want to look at it that way, every 3 months. So every calendar quarter, the categories change. As I'm making this video, Uber and Lyft are a category that is getting 5% cash back on this card. When we move over into the next calendar quarter, it won't be happening anymore. So it's not something that is available all the time. It is something that happens sometimes, or in the future, we don't know if it'll happen at all, but it is worth mentioning here. Same thing with the Chase Freedom card. Again, the 5% categories that change each calendar quarter. They have had Lyft in the past. I can't remember if Uber has been one of theirs in the past, but again, there's always a possibility that that will be included in there, and so I'm mentioning it here, but it's certainly not one that you want to, get the card specifically for Uber and Lyft purchases. Now let's move on to cards that have an annual fee and have maybe a little bit more going on than just cash back here, or more categories where you are getting cash back from. So you'll have to do maybe a little more research to decide if they are the right cards for you, because they're definitely not specific to Uber and Lyft, and probably even less specific to them than the cards I've already talked about. So the first card that I will talk about, and sort of the card that sort of inspired this video in a way, because they just added Uber and Lyft within the cashback categories, is the Blue Cash Preferred card, a card with a $95 annual fee. It gives you 3% cash back on your Uber and Lyft purchases, as well as other transit purchases. Now this card already was offering 6% cash back on your grocery purchases and 3% cash back on gas purchases. There's also a new 6% cash back on streaming services added to the card as well. So for a $95 annual fee, it's still mostly a grocery card, because you're getting that 6% cash back on up to $6,000 worth of purchases in the grocery category. But the addition of 3% on your Uber and Lyft rides is a nice addition to this card, and it makes the card even better overall. So it is one that I'm pretty high on and have mentioned in many other videos, and so this is yet another reason to talk about it. The other card at this $95 annual fee price point to mention is the City Premier card. This is a card that gives you rewards in the City Thank You Points program. You get 3 points per dollar on your travel purchases, and travel includes Uber and Lyft within that category. You'll also get 2 points per dollar on restaurant entertainment purchases, 1 point per dollar on everything else with this card. Your points can be used in a variety of ways. Sort of the highest use of your points is if you use them toward travel through the City Thank You portal, because you will get a 25% boost on those points when they are used that way. So for example, 50,000 points used in the travel portal would be worth $625 in travel. So that is the City Premier, another card with a $95 annual fee that you might consider for its Uber and Lyft potential. And then when we move up the list in terms of annual fee, when we're talking about sort of luxury cards, you might say, that have annual fees of $400 plus, the Uber and Lyft component is relevant to this video, but it might only be one piece to the puzzle in terms of you deciding if that particular card is right for you. So I'll mention 3 cards here that do have something interesting going on with Uber and Lyft. The first one is the American Express Platinum card. Somewhat obvious, because part of the American Express Platinum rewards list here in terms of what they give you is a credit on your Uber rides of up to $200 per year. Now, the way that works, just to be clear, is you don't just sort of get a $200 credit and you can just use it whenever you want. American Express kind of gives it to you piecemeal throughout the year. So if you're not a frequent Uber user, this might be annoying to you. If you're someone that uses Uber all the time, you might not care. So basically what happens is you get $15 per month. It's a use it or lose it. So in January, you're going to get $15 toward Uber. In February, you're going to get $15 toward Uber, and that is it for the month. And then in December, you get $35 toward your Uber ride. So you get credits on your Uber rides in each of those months. If you max them out throughout the year, you'll get $200 in credits for those Uber rides. Obviously, if you don't use them all, then your credit will be somewhat less for the full year. Now, this is a card with a $550 annual fee. There's a lot more going on with this card. The Uber part of it is just one thing. I'm not going to go into all the aspects of the American Express Platinum card. I've definitely done that in many other videos, so you have to decide if that card works for you in terms of its travel rewards, airport lounge access, and a lot of other aspects as well. The next card to talk about is the ever popular Chase Sapphire Reserve, a card with a $450 annual fee, but some pretty nice rewards. You get 3 points per dollar on your travel purchases, and Uber and Lyft is included within a very liberal travel category here. So Uber and Lyft is included in many other forms of travel as well. You also get a $300 travel credit. So the way those two work together is all your, sort of beginning of the year travel purchases, including Uber and Lyft and any other travel, are going to be essentially rebated back to you as a 100% credit on those until you hit $300. Once you have hit $300 in credits on your travel purchases, then you will start to get 3 points per dollar on your travel purchases. From then on, this is a card that is also popular because of the fact that the points you earn on it, if you redeem them for travel through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, you're going to get a 50% boost, which means, for example, if you had 50,000 points, they would actually be worth $750 worth of travel through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. Always a popular card, and having Uber and Lyft as one of the things that qualifies for travel, just makes it all that much better. And then finally, there is the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve Visa. This is a card with a $400 annual fee. However, it has a $325 travel credit, which includes Uber and Lyft rides and other travel. It also gives you 3 points per dollar on travel purchases, which includes Uber and Lyft. As far as I can tell, if you happen to be someone that has this card and you can confirm, I would appreciate it, because I've done a lot of research to try and find out for sure if those Uber and Lyft rides get credited at that 3 point per dollar level, and I believe they do, but I don't have this card myself. So anyway, that is a card that is fairly popular, but kind of flies under the radar with a lot of people. So it is another one that is worth checking out, not only for the Uber and Lyft aspect, but just for the card features overall. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you know of any other cards that I've missed, or you have any comments about these cards in particular, I'd love to hear them in the comments section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews and have personal finance news and talk deals and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.